toss. Handoff, Joyner, left side, has a hole, and a touchdown. Touchdown, Quentin Joyner. Touchdown, USC. 9-yarder.
While the lights went out in the second half, the Utah State Aggies never could turn their light on. We'll recap it all. Look ahead to Michigan after the bye week. Let's do it. Trojans Live tonight. This is Trojans Live. Trojans Live, the exclusive USC Trojans coaches show. Behind-the-scenes insights and breaking news from the student athletes who play for the Cardinal and Gold. Trojans Live is presented by Monster Energy. Monster Energy, unleash the beast. Unleash the beast. It's time for your host. Live from Los Angeles, here are Jordan Moore, Sean Cody, and Cody Kessler.
Hello and welcome to Trojans Live, presented by Monster Energy on ESPN LA 710 and across the USC Trojans Media Network. I am Jordan Moore, Sean Cody, Cody Kessler, and the defensive coordinator, Lynn, joins us at the top of the show. Bye week, a perfect time to dig into this USC defense, fresh off the program's first shutout in 13 years. Monster Energy, the official energy drink partner of USC, tear into a can of the meanest energy drink on the planet. Monster Energy Unleash the Beast. And our coach interview is presented by iTrust Capital, the official crypto platform of the USC Trojans. Thank you, Coach Lynn, for joining us. It was an impressive performance on Saturday night. What stood out to you? What were the highlights of what you saw on the defensive side of the ball?
Really just the effort, from the beginning of the game all the way until the end, and regardless of who was in the game. Like we told those guys at the end, like the Trojan standard is the standard. I don't care if you're a senior or a true freshman, a starter or a third-string player. If you're in the game, the standard's the same. So I was just impressed that the guys played at the same level regardless of who was in the game.
Coach, I've been in a couple defensive rooms with defensive coordinators, and it seems that like when I was on the good defenses, we had markers we were shooting for, right? Whether it was sacks or yards and passing yardage or whatever with turnovers. What are some of the key markers for you when your defense is playing well? What numbers are you hitting?
Each week it's a little bit different. So we have our keys to win, and each opponent it's a little bit different. So it's always trying to find a way to limit big plays, to affect the quarterback, and to stop the run. But each week, we try to do that a little bit different.
Or is it like a yardage number? I remember it being like more than 13 yards was like a big run, or like those kind of things.
For me, anything double digit to me is big. Like if they hit a 10-yard run, to me that's an explosive play. That's too much.
Coach, I got a question Sean's going to love. The defensive line has looked phenomenal through the first two games. They're playing very physical, doing a great job of controlling the line of scrimmage. What have you seen from that position group and their progression early on this season?
Really just consistency. When you strike blocks, when you're able to gap in a half, and when you're doing that consistently inside, that affects the way our linebackers play, that affects the way our DBs play, and that allows those guys just to play fast. So the more consistent we can be in there, which they have so far through the first two games, the better off we're going to be.
You're listening to USC defensive coordinator Lynn on Trojans Live. The point you made at the top about, the quote-unquote twos and threes is something we talked about on the broadcast. It is kind of the key to a shutout, right? Especially in a game like that. It's one thing if it was a super tight game and the ones stay in there the whole time. But in a game like that, it's about those guys still maintaining that level. And then the support from the guys on the sideline, it just seemed like they stayed engaged. Like that last series meant as much to the team as the first one did.
Exactly. The seniors on the sideline, they were just as excited as the guys who were out there on the field. But it was just cool for the guys who were out there on the field because they had a great camp. They just haven't got a chance to play yet. And some of those guys were doing scout team stuff all week. So now I'm going to the call sheet, and I'm like, okay, like my call sheet just got cut in half because they don't know what half this stuff is.
Coach, we've seen a progression in Anthony Lucas's game from last year. It looks like he's taken a step up. But what do you think has been the biggest step in his game, and how has he made that climb to the next level?
Man, he has a high ceiling. For him, it was just doing it every single play. He showed flashes, and that's something that we and challenged him with. Like, listen, like you need to do it every single play. And he had a great spring, but he had an even better camp. And we're super excited about him. He's playing very physical against the run. He's rushing the quarterback better. We're going to start moving him across the line some. I think he's a guy who gives us a big advantage no matter who we're up against.
Coach, another player that's been very impressive early on this season is Kamari Ramsey back there at the safety position. And this is your second year with Kamari. What makes him such a great player and leader and a fit in your scheme?
He has great instincts, And I think there's a difference between smart people and smart football players. He's a guy who just understands the game. There's certain things that he just does that you don't have to coach. And having him be his second year in the scheme, I feel like he helped accelerate the back end in the spring. And by the time we were in camp in August, we were able to install some stuff that I wasn't able to install this past year just because, he helped speed up that process.
The player I wanted to talk about was Eric Gentry, as he's such an interesting player. We've seen him a little while now. The guys talk about him, they call him a unicorn, right, which has become something in sports. And that sounds great, and it is great. It means a player is uniquely talented. It's also difficult sometimes on a coach to find the exact right spot on a unicorn, right? I mean, sometimes it would be perfect to go, hey, that guy is built exactly how I would want a middle linebacker to be, or an outside rusher or safety or whatever. How have you tried to either tailor your system to him or fit him within your system so that he can use his gifts but not be at a place?
The good thing about this scheme is versatility is something that we require. So I haven't really had a guy with versatility like him. He can play a lot of different spots. So it does make it tough on us because we want to make sure that we're putting him in the best position and do what he does best, but we also want to keep offenses on their heels to where they can't just know what he's doing every single play because, he can create issues in the pass game, he can create issues against the run, and he can rush the quarterback as well.
Yeah.
Coach, what's the communication with your coaching staff been? I know it's a new staff. You guys never played in the games before besides these last two games. And how's that in-game communications? I know sometimes coaches can get heated down there. You can go back and forth a little bit. D-line wants a linebacker coach. What's the communications been like between the coaches?
Man, it's been awesome. I have a veteran staff. You have a former head coach. You have former coordinators. You have guys who have been in the NFL. So everyone's been professional. It's been calm on the sideline. Our biggest thing is let's make the corrections, and when the guys go back out there on the field, let's make sure they're feeling as confident as possible.
Coach, you guys have been phenomenal on third down, especially on Saturday night against the Aggies. They were 2 of 11 on third down and 0 for 2 on fourth down. What can you contribute, without giving too much away, to your success in that category?
I'm going to say the players being really locked in on situational ball. There's certain weeks where, hey, if it's 3rd and 6 or if it's 3rd and 8, seems small, but that makes a big difference as far as what type of protections we're expecting, as far as what type of concepts. And the guys have been very, very locked into all that stuff. And I feel like, small things like that over the course of time make a big difference.
Bye week coming up for the Trojans, then a trip to Michigan. You'll see we'll be back in the spotlight a week from Saturday. That's a 12:30 p.m. Pacific time kickoff here, but we'll be in Ann Arbor. Our show will start at 10:30 a.m. Pacific time across the USC Trojans Media Network. We'll talk to Coach about that and more coming up after the break on Trojans Live.
Toss a coin in the waterfalls in the wishing well. Now I get plenty coin, but I'm self-made. You ain't gotta wish me well. You ain't like me then, but I guess it's past tense, cause you tapped in. You was never who you said. I see the facade when looking at really me. That you can tell my guard up. I ain't taking nails. If it's not in my favor, won't sign a deal. I got the royalty in the mill. I got authority in the field. Take a look at my iris. I be precise with the timing. I never know where my mind went.
handoff. Joyner left side has a hole and a touchdown. Touchdown, Quentin Joyner. Touchdown, USC. 9-yarder.
We'll recap it all. Look ahead to Michigan after the bye week. Let's do it. Trojans Live tonight. Now back to the campus of USC at Heritage Hall, broadcasting in Los Angeles. Here are your hosts, Jordan Moore, Sean Cody, and Cody Kessler.
Trojans Live is sponsored by Pechanga Resort Casino, proud partner of USC football. Any Trojan fans celebrate every Trojan win and enjoy the sweet taste of victory with a free donut at Ralph's. The day after the win, download your digital coupon from the Ralph's app to score your free donut at any Los Angeles area Ralph's store. Jordan Moore, Sean Cody, Cody Kessler, Dan Lynn. Appreciate you staying with us here for a second segment, Coach. You have NFL experience, so you were used to this sort of the in-helmet communication that has been brought into college this year, but you didn't have it last year at UCLA. So having experienced it both ways, what's the biggest effect on the defensive side? I think we talk so much about the offensive side and being in the quarterback's head. What about you on the defensive side?
The biggest effect, I think it helps with in tempo when offenses are trying to go fast. We still signal from the side, but sometimes the DBs can be so far away from the play, so we actually put it on the safety. So now we can tell him the call. Now he can direct everyone on the back end, and the Mike linebacker can get the signal, and he can control the front. I think it helps with situational ball, like we were just talking about, like third down. Like sometimes 3rd and 6 and 3rd and 8 can be a big difference. And it's the player's responsibility, but sometimes we can help them. So I might give them a call and just, hey, it's 3rd and 6 here. It's 3rd and 8, and just making sure that everyone on the field is aware of that.
And so far, who's mostly been the person wearing that helmet?
It's been Akili.
Oh, he will be next on Trojans Live.
He'll be next.
No teaser.
Does that cut off at 15 like it does,
It does
on the play clock on the offense?
It does, yeah.
Okay.
Coach, it's some of these young guys that got to play this last weekend, it was nice to see. It's always good to get in early in the year, get some experience. So what are some of the guys that popped for you off the screen after that game?
Some of the guys up front, like Jade and Cam Fountain, those are guys, their bodies have changed. The growth that they've made from spring to now at their age has been unbelievable. Some of the DBs, you had Conley out there, you had Marcellus, Marquise. Again, it's guys who have had good camps, and all those guys have bright futures, but we're just excited to see them actually get out there and do it in the game. And then Desmond Stevens, he's the backup Mike. He doesn't look like a true freshman.
Guys he had in that blitz, and he got out of there and made a play on the ball. That was nice.
Good veteran play, but it's guys that we're excited about, and we just need to get as much playing time as possible.
Coach, what's your message to your defense going into this bye week? You guys have gotten off to a great start, and it feels like you're in a rhythm and got the train rolling. How do you keep that momentum going into this week off?
Well, the thing about the Big Ten is, like, you have to do it every single week.
Yeah.
So we're still focused on us, So there's a lot of good stuff that we put on tape. There's also a lot of stuff that we need to correct. So it's looking at us. Okay, what can we do from a self scout standpoint as far as how our team's going to look at this tape and attack us, and then how can we expand on our playbook, getting prepared for the Big Ten, because our next, string of opponents are going to be very different than LSU and Utah State.
We've seen you rotate a bunch at corner in the first couple of games. Is that still an open competition? Do you like to sort of rotate through, 4 guys typically in a game, no matter what the personnel is? How do you usually approach that position? Yeah,
we try to rotate guys. We want to keep guys fresh, and there's just more plays in college. Our first couple games haven't been too bad, but there's going to be games where it's 80, 90 plays. So you want to keep guys fresh, and you also want to keep developing guys. So we're probably always going to play 3 to 4 in corners. We'll play 3 safeties. We'll always try to make sure we have a good rotation up front to keep guys fresh.
Coach, we're looking down the line a little bit, but first true road game coming up, Big Ten conference starting to play. Anything changed for defensively when you go into a tough road environment?
No, I think, we have to have that mentality every single week, like our backs against the wall. It doesn't matter if it's a home game or road. We have to have that same mentality every week.
Coach, another guy I want to talk about, and Akili knows him well, is Easton Mascarenas-Arnold. A phenomenal football player. We know how well he can tackle, but I don't think he gets enough credit for the athlete that he is. He does such a great job of moving sideline to sideline. We saw that against Utah State on Saturday. How important has he been in the middle of your defense?
He's been huge. Having a smart Mike and having 2 smart safeties, it allows you to do a lot from a coverage standpoint. And, he's been huge because, like I said, I give the call to Akili, and then signal to Easton, and Easton gets the front set. He makes all the checks. He's doing all the audibles, so he's kind of like the head coach out there, and he's been doing a great job.
You're listening to USC defensive coordinator Danton Lynn on Trojans Live. Trojans have a bye this Saturday. Michigan does not. They play. Will you watch the game live? Will you casually watch it and then ultimately dive into the tape? Or what do you do in a situation like that?
I'll probably casually watch the game, and then I'll watch the TV copy, and I'll watch the game on tape the next day.
Coach, we've seen you on the field with the players. It seems like you're having a good time. You're interacting with them. I've seen a couple handshakes now. When's the time to get in there?
Do you want a cool handshake,
I
Sean?
would like to develop a handshake eventually.
Yeah,
I know we're early in the season. We got a bye week, so we'll have some time. But where's that interaction when you guys get a chance to work in the handshakes?
So Cam Fountain was one of the first kids I recruited when I got the job here. He was actually my second home visit ever.
Oh, wow.
So love Cam to death. He made that handshake up during camp. I did not know it was going to be on camera. So
now everyone wants one. Now you have to remember a lot of handshakes coming up, Coach.
Coach, it can be difficult with a new staff, especially in year one, but that does not seem to be the case at all with your group. How important has your position coaches been, in contributing to the success you guys have had through these first 2 games?
They've been huge. Like, I got very spoiled. I feel like I have the best staff in the country. Each coach, like I said, has either been in the NFL, been a head coach, or been a coordinator.
Wow.
And when we put the system together, you just have so many ideas from different teams that it really is. It's not my scheme; it's ours. There's influence from North Dakota State. There's influence from the Rams. There's influence from Houston. There's influence from Michigan and from what USC was doing before from Coach Nua. So it's kind of been a blend of everybody, and it's a group of good people, good guys. They put the team before their ego, and I got spoiled.
Yeah, that's awesome.
What were the conversations like when you arrived with the guys that had already been here, right? I mean, I think there's that, idea that, especially with the portal now, that you could just bring in your own guys, and you brought in a couple of guys that that played your system, but it seems to us the key is not only that, it's the development, right? We have seen guys immediately buy in. Gentry so much better, Cobb so much better. Anthony Lucas we talked about. What were those conversations like with those guys as they had committed to USC a year before you?
Development is the most important thing, and the biggest thing was listen, our scheme's going to be good, but it's not what we do, it's how we do it. It's how we take on blocks. It's how we backpedal, how we press, how we tackle, how we're reading the offensive line. At the end of the day, you can do a lot of cool stuff from a coverage or a pressure standpoint, but a lot of good defenses have had success doing a lot of different things. But if you look at it, there's a common theme, and it's the way that they play.
Well, I know it's only been 2 games, but the feedback from every single USC fan is how excited they are to watch when the team doesn't have the ball now. They love watching defense again. You're bringing that back to the Coliseum. A shutout certainly on Saturday night made everyone happy. So enjoy the bye week. Good luck in Ann Arbor, and we will talk to you soon about that. When you've got good beer and good vibes, it's all Buena. Stone Buena Veza Salt and Lime Lager is Baja-inspired and imported from San Diego, located near you at fine.stonebrewing.com. We already teased it, but Akili Arnold is next on Trojans Live.
I used to toss a coin in the waterfalls in the wishing well. Now I get plenty coin, but I'm self-made. You ain't gotta wish me well. You ain't like me then, but I guess it's past tense, cause you tapped in. You was never who you said. I see the facade when looking at really me. That you can tell my guard up. I ain't taking L's. If it's not in my favor, won't sign a deal. I got the royalty in the mill. I got authority in the field. Take a look at my iris. I be precise with the timing. I never know where my mind went.
Our best of the game is brought to you by Old Dominion Freight Line, official freight carrier of USC Athletics, helping the world keep promises. It's Akili Arnold joining Jordan Moore, Sean Cody Kessler. Your brother got that pick before you. You're the one that's supposed to get the picks, man. What happened?
Yeah, man. I mean, it was a tip ball, and honestly, I think EG should have had that one, but Easton went over there and took it from him. So, yeah, man, I'm proud of him. You know, I'm glad that we got that.
Linebackers getting all the picks so far this season.
Yep, tips and overthrows. Got to get those.
We just had Coach on, Akili, and he's talked about the defensive standard you guys are trying to install and put in the culture. Obviously, off to a great start. What's it going to take to keep this thing rolling on defense?
I think it's just consistency and still playing to our standard. The standard's a standard. It doesn't change. It doesn't rise. It doesn't lower. So for us to just stay consistent and stay believing in each other and just stick with the scheme and trust it.
We obviously love having you here at USC, and this is the first time we've talked before. What went into that decision, I guess, going back a little bit, of wanting to be a Trojan, and how did you know, talking to Lincoln Riley and Coach Lynn, how you'd be a perfect fit here? And you went to Mission Viejo, right, or from Mission Viejo area?
Yes, sir.
So is that kind of going into it, getting back home?
Yeah, a little bit. Having family here is always great and stuff, but it was really up to Coach Lynn.
Okay.
And then, obviously, I always trusted Lincoln Riley when we first talked because he came to a home visit in Corvallis with me and Easton. So it was pretty cool to see him, and then from there, once we took our visit, I really wanted to see what Coach Lynn's scheme was about and how he kind of ran things. And then he showed me the clips from UCLA and all that. And I was like, it was pretty similar to Oregon State stuff. Had a few different things. So it was just pretty cool to see. And I was like, I like to play for him.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I saw somewhere Coach Riley said that was one of his favorite in-home visits ever with you and your brother. Take us inside that room. What was going on inside that room?
It was a little apartment in Corvallis, Oregon, and it was a Sunday night, which was kind of crazy too. And he was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna come in, fly into the airport." And I was like, "What airport?" So I only know like Eugene and Portland, and he flew into like a private Corvallis one or something like that. And I was like,
"Must be nice."
Yeah, man. So it was kind of cool to have the head coach of USC to be in Corvallis, and it was just sitting on an old couch that my friend kind of gave me and stuff. So it was just a little college apartment, him just talking to us for an hour and stuff, it was pretty cool. And he kind of enlightened us on how like he saw the year going if we were to go there, and like how the culture and how all that is going to be good, and how we have young guys, and he thinks that me and Neeson could be leaders and kind of help him build that standard and that culture around here.
You've been a part of some good defenses at Oregon State, and you guys are starting off the year playing well on defense. What are some of the similarities, I guess, and differences in the styles of defense you played there and maybe here, and what it can look like?
I would say we're both very aggressive. I think we're both going to send pressures. We're both going to send a lot of people on blitzes, whether it be a safety or other backers. And, at Oregon State, we also had that double mug look where we brought the safety in the middle. So just stuff like that, unique little formations and stuff we could, implement our game plan. So just having an attack mindset and always trying to send pressure is, pretty cool.
How has it been working with Coach Belk this offseason? I guess how has he helped you develop as a player and as a leader both on and off the field?
Oh, he's been great, man. He's helped me, understand more concepts, more formations, just little things, not necessarily the things that the freshmen need to, learn in terms of stuff like that, but, little things that can help my game improve, maybe it's something out my break or something he could say with my eyes, and just reading certain keys and little tips.
You guys got the shutout on Saturday. It seemed like the sideline was pretty happy about that. What did it mean in the locker room? We were talking about it earlier, not just the top line guys, but everyone got to contribute in an all-around performance.
Oh, man, it was fun. Seeing those young guys go out there and still perform the way they did and still hold them to zero was great to see. I think they've been working super hard. Even if they're on scout team or something like that, I feel like they're always still locked in. I think we always say the standard's the standard, so I think there's no drop-off when we left the field and when those guys came into play. I mean, it was fun to watch. You guys saw it.
So you've talked about attacking defense a little bit. Got a half sack on the night.
Hey, man,
right?
It should have been a full.
Well, man, that's what I was going to ask you about, man. I know as a former defensive lineman, I wasn't trying to split a sack with a safety for sure, man. What's it? Devin Tompkins, right?
Yeah,
he guys split the sack. Did he take it all right, or he was fighting you for that one?
He took it after, like, I think I had him wrapped up, and then once Devin hit him, he went the other way. Once he went the other way, I kind of like let go, and I was like, he got it, but I'll still take it,
I love what you just said too. The standard's the standard, right? That's what Lynn is that what Coach Lynn teaches everybody?
Yeah, I think also
top down.
Lincoln.
Okay, cool.
Also, he preaches that a lot. Just always keeping the standard the standard.
Well, it's just cool to hear from Lynn say that, and then you say it right after. It just kind of speaks about the mindset of this defense. But now being a veteran and a leader on this defense, you go into the bye week. What's the message to the younger guys? How do you keep them locked in? How do you keep them focused on the week ahead?
I think for us, we just got to stay starting fast. Throughout the week, not always getting complacent or trying to be like, oh, it's a bye week, so we could take a week off. No, I think this is a good week for us to get our bodies right, get ahead in school, whatever we need to do, to prepare ourselves better for Michigan.
It is a bye week. You throw the black and orange on for one day on Saturday. It's Oregon State on Saturday. I'm sure that's still in your blood a little bit.
Hey man, yeah, I'm always rooting for my guys up there. So. Yeah, I think.
What's that rivalry like? I mean, you're going to experience USC UCLA this year. You're going to experience USC Notre Dame this year. Take us in what they used to call the Civil War.
Nah, it's definitely the Civil War.
I know there's people out there argue about it.
Even though I have some friends on the team and stuff like that. It's always like when that game comes on, that's what we're looking forward to. So like, for me to kind of sit back and see it from afar, I'm like. Nah, like people don't understand how serious that game is and how brutal it can be.
All right. Well, you can watch Ducks Bees, but ultimately it's going to be Trojans versus Wolverines next time you suit it up. That's pretty good, too. These are the kind of games you came to USC for, huh? Play at the Big House?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm excited.
We're excited to watch you. Akili Arnold will lead this USC defense, but he's got the bye week this week. Fight on Trojans and fly on with ONT. Ontario International Airport is a proud sponsor of our USC Trojans. Visit SoCalSoEasy.com to book your journey through ONT today, and don't wait until game time to plan for retirement. Open your free iTrust Capital account today and get your crypto IRA. iTrust Capital is the official cryptocurrency platform of the USC Trojans. Well, it was a big summer for our Trojan Olympians. We've got one of them next, Anicka Delgado, coming up on Trojans Live.
I used to toss a coin in the waterfalls in the wishing well. Now I get plenty coin, but I'm self-made. You ain't gotta wish me well. You ain't like me then, but I guess it's past tense, cause you tapped in. You was never who you said. I see the facade when looking at really me. That you could tell my guard up. I ain't taking L's. If it's not in my favor, won't sign a deal. I got the royalty in the mill. I got authority in the field. Take a look at my iris. I'll be precise with the timing. I never know where my mind went.
Network. Now back to the campus of USC at Heritage Hall, broadcasting in Los Angeles. Here are your hosts, Jordan Moore, Sean Cody, and Cody Kessler.
Our Women's Spotlight is brought to you by Sprouts Farmers Market. Open 7 days a week. Visit your neighborhood Sprouts for good-for-you groceries and get great prices on the freshest produce. Jordan Moore, Sean Cody Kessler, and Anicka Delgado is in the spotlight tonight, and well-deserved. Now a two-time Olympian. That has to sound pretty good. You know, just watching it from afar, Anicka, this seemed like a little bit more fun than your first Olympics. What was the experience like in Paris after you went through Tokyo? Everyone put in the same amount of work, but with no fans in Tokyo and all that. This seemed like a little bit more special.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for having me. Tokyo was definitely a bit different. With COVID and everything, there was nobody in the stands. My family couldn't come. Like you said, we were training the exact same way. Paris was a lot more fun. I was able to hang out with my friends. We didn't have to be there 2 weeks before competition. So that was amazing. And being able to have actual people around, it definitely brought on more pressure, but it was all that more amazing.
Your father was an Olympian as well, right?
Yep.
For Ecuador, and you got to represent them. What's that relationship, right? You and your dad, same sport, growing up in the pool. What's that like?
It's super special. He's the one that got me into swimming in the first place. He actually started training me for the Tokyo Olympics, and he knows me better than anyone. So that was just an amazing duo. And of course, that was hard because father-daughter coaching can either make or break a relationship for sure. But I mean, I think it made us stronger. And luckily, I was able to have him for a few months training me up to Paris. And so that was just amazing. And he was able to coach me in Tokyo as well, too. And we ended up getting the Olympic rings tatted together. So it was cute.
Do you call him dad or coach when you are LeBron has to go through this. We were just talking about this.
Yeah.
Bronny can't be screaming, "Dad, pass me the ball." But in your situation, are you still going with dad, or is he coach when you're in the pool?
It's always dad. I can't switch to coach. I always joked with him, Coach Dad, sometimes, but it's always dad.
Coach Dad?
Yeah.
So you went to Santa Margarita, correct, from Laguna Hills?
Yep.
What does it mean to stay close to home and be able to represent USC as a swimmer?
Oh, it's amazing. I mean, Southern California is my home. At first I was like, when I was looking at schools, I thought it was a little too close to home. And then I took my trip and I was like, okay, I'm so sold. I can't leave SoCal. Like, it's just too amazing. And it's also great because I have my little siblings and they're way younger than me. So I was able to stay close and watch them grow up. But yeah, I just love SoCal. It's where I want to be. So
you're listening to Anicka Delgado from USC Swim and Dive on Trojans Live, and you're part of a class of women's swimmers here who decided to come back into this sort of fifth-year group. Does it just feel like you guys are building something because it's a pretty accomplished group that's decided to run it back here?
Yeah, I mean, our entire relay from last year that was competing at Pac-12s and NCAAs stayed for a fifth year. And so I think that's incredibly special and brings a lot to the team. And I mean, we have a whole class of freshmen coming in, so being able to be here and help develop them is huge.
Yeah, obviously you'll have team goals that you want to accomplish, but you're a very accomplished swimmer yourself. What are the goals this year that you want to kind of be mindful of?
I mean, after the Olympics right now, I'm currently focusing on healing my body and slowly getting back into the sport. And then as we get more into season, obviously new to the Big Ten, we want to come and really prove ourselves and show that we're here to play and show our new team.
What would you say is your favorite event to swim in or to compete in, and why? Am I saying that right? Is it event? Is that what we're calling it? Okay.
Yeah, it's the event. Okay. It's the event. And my favorite event is the 50 freestyle. If the 50 butterfly were an event, that would be it because I love butterfly and I love the sprints. But right now that's not an Olympic event, so it's the 50 freestyle. It's quick.
I'm like a 10-meter specialist. I got that 10-meter down, man.
We got to get you the floaties on.
Well, 50 is so fun. I was, they always it's at the Olympics. It's fun to watch. I was watching it this year, and I was. How many breaths do you take in the 50 was what we were trying to figure out. Are you popping up once, twice? It's 21 seconds about is what you're swimming in?
I'm supposed to be going 0 breath in the 50 freestyle, but it's a mental game for sure. Right now, I'd say I go around 1 breath. In the Olympics, Tokyo Olympics, I went 0 breath. It just depends on the person. It's strategizing, whatever works for you.
I did a little swimming when I was very little, so I know a little bit about it. But I remember butterfly being the hardest stroke, just to even like make your body do that movement. Is that? I mean, obviously you're good at it, but how tough is that stroke?
I mean, I think again, it depends on the person. Like for some people, it comes totally natural, and that's the way to power through the water. Yeah. I love the 50 fly, but I could never do like a 200 fly because my arms would fall off. So it just depends on the person.
It was like raising my big head out of the water was like 1,000 pounds, so it was tough.
Yeah, I guess it also depends on the size of your head.
So you're one of the veterans on this team now. How important is it to take on that leadership role and help out some of your younger teammates? They're in the same position you were a couple years ago.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely important. I love the feeling like I have the experience and knowledge to lead the girls that are below me, and be a good example for them and have them come to me like with anything they might have questions for, or any needs they might have. So I just feel really fortunate to be in this position.
I've spent some time with your coaching staff. I spent some the other day. They are a really fun group, and they feel like they're turning a corner here with the swim and dive program. What's it been like inside the locker room and in those workouts early in the mornings under this staff?
I mean, it's been good. They always have the energy up with the music and everything. They're definitely consistent, which I appreciate. And so I think the team culture is looking good. And yeah.
You mentioned your body being kind of trying to get back into it this season coming up. You have to take that rest period. Yeah. What's the training like for swimming, and how? I mean, obviously it must take you down. I mean, you wore out for the Olympics. That rest period must be something. And what's that training like to get ready for those kind of events?
I mean, in swimming, we have something called tapering. So you basically ramp up and go, you get in amazing shape, and then you're just going throughout the season and pushing yourself until the point where you're so tired. And then you taper off, which is you can either do a drop taper where you completely drop off and you rest for like 3-4 days straight and then you compete, or you just slowly taper down and you cut out some weights, you cut out some practices, and then you go and compete. Mm-hmm. And so it's just a rest period.
Okay, so we talked about Dad or Coach Dad.
Mm-hmm, Coach Dad.
And he might be the answer for this, but who's probably your biggest inspiration, or who did you look up to growing up when you were swimming, and why?
I think it was definitely, like you said, I think it was my dad. He was just such a great example. He taught me how to balance swimming and the emotional part of it, and making sure that I'm also having a life on the side. And he was just a good example overall. So it would be him.
Well, congratulations on finishing your second Olympics and a big year ahead for USC swim and dive. Season starts November 8th. That's what I saw on the schedule, at least, that's come out. So check it out. The Trojans are in the Big Ten now, which really your schedule will be fairly similar, but you'll compete for that Big Ten championship at the end and then ultimately an NCAA championship. So good luck. 4-time Pac-12 champion last year, Anicka Delgado, on your season ahead. Want the inside scoop on this game and all things Trojans? Be sure to sign up for the 3 Torches presented by Smart and Final. It's a free newsletter that'll hit your email inbox 3 times a week with game info, player insights, and more. Go to usctrojans.com/3torches and sign up. And if you're ready to take it to the next level, unleash the beast this college tailgate season with Monster Energy. Tear into a can of the meanest energy drink on the planet. Monster Energy. Unleash the beast. Our football roundtable is next on Trojans Live.
I used to toss a coin in the waterfalls in the wishing well. Now I get plenty coin, but I'm self-made. You ain't gotta wish me well. You ain't like me then, but I guess it's past tense, cause you tapped in. You was never who you said. I see the facade when looking, it really be that good to tell. My guard up, I ain't taking nails. If it's not in my favor, won't sign a deal. I got the royalty in the mill. I got authority in the field. Take a look in my iris. I be precise with the timing. I never know where my mind went.
LA Trojans Radio Network.
We're back with Trojans Live.
Snap back to Moss. Handoff Joyner. Left side has a hole and a touchdown. Touchdown Quentin Joyner. Touchdown USC. 9-yarder.
We'll recap it all. Look ahead to Michigan after the bye week. Let's do it. Trojans Live tonight. Now back to the campus of USC at Heritage Hall, broadcasting in Los Angeles. Here are your hosts, Jordan Moore, Sean Cody, and Cody Kessler.
Back on Trojans Live, it's our weekly football roundtable. Jordan Moore, Sean Cody, Cody Kessler, and Keely Yore, our insider, joins us now. Keely, good to have you. Lots to talk about from this game. Most of the topics I have are on the defensive side of the football, but overall, the thing that stood out to me, and take what you will from that game, Utah State probably the weakest opponent USC will face this year, but the maturity of the performance, and again, a lot of our comments, I feel like, the context is sort of the PTSD of the last decade at times. And we have seen a lot of these games where the team either comes out flat, especially after a big win, or they come out flat in the second half when the second half was delayed, or the fourth quarter could have been flat when that was delayed and we were dealing with the lights and all that. Whenever the ball was in play, this team seemed to be really locked in on Saturday.
And it didn't matter whether it was the first string, second string, third string, and that was the coolest part. We have our recap podcast coming out soon, but I was saying it was so cool to see the pride that every level of that defense had to keep that shutout. I mean, you talked about it, but how hyped Lynn was with Cameron Fountain when they missed the field goal. Like, I just love the sense of pride and confidence that they're playing with right now. And I mean this in the least disrespectful way, but I'm so excited each week to see what this defense will do, rather than being like, I know what's going to happen. I'm still so excited when open field tackles are made. It's just such a turnaround so quickly that it's fun to watch what they'll do each week.
Yeah, such a hard thing to do, this shutout, too. Obviously, you got to, when you're rolling other young guys in there and trying to keep it a thing, but just to keep a team away from like the 30 to the 25-yard line and not letting them get down there and be close for a field goal. I mean, I was probably part of one or two shutouts in my whole collegiate and NFL career.
Can you name any? I can name one.
I can name the UCLA one, right? My freshman year.
You guys shut them out your freshman year?
27-0.
Oh, 23-0.
23-0.
Yes.
23? Yeah, something like that.
23-0.
Testing who here?
Yeah.
Well, my memory of Sean's career sometimes is better than Sean's memory of Sean's career, which is...
So it's I mean, just a real special thing, and you could see that.
Auburn.
You could see Auburn. Okay, yeah. There we go. That was an opener. And, I mean, you could tell the stands was into it, right? Everyone, obviously fans were trickling out, but everyone who was locked in there stayed the game. They wanted to see that shutout, and they delivered.
Well, I mean, and two, the biggest thing for me is in those football games, right? And Sean and I have both played in those. Normally, when you get to your second and third stringers by the second half, those games look like 48-21, right? Or 48-28. And then you have some concerns. And, you think back to San Jose State or Nevada a year ago when it didn't look as dominant as it should have against an opponent that is lesser, you get a little worried, right? And then that kind of shows itself when you go down the schedule. That was a dominant performance on both sides of the football. And just going to the offense real quick, I love that Lincoln Riley came out and established the run. Now, I know that Utah State came out in a look that we've never seen before, right? And me and Coach Lynn were just talking about that, and they went in a 3-3 stack with 6 DBs on the field the entire night, and Lincoln could have ran the ball until the wheels fell off. But I love after the first two series, we had 131 yards rushing on the ground, and I think he just threw the ball just to get Miller some practice in that football game. I mean, he could have ran the football the entire night.
Cody never played in a shutout, and I know that because
I
we
didn't
haven't had one since 2011.
I never played defense either, so.
Oh, you were touting your defense. What was that, on Trojan Tailgate Show when you were talking about how you played both sides of the ball in high school?
I did. In high school, if you want to go look at it, I have a Hitman of the Week T-shirt.
Hitman of the Week?
Hitman of the Week.
Next Monday, let's
Can you wear that next Monday?
Yeah.
That'll be great.
It's at home. I got to get it in Bakersfield.
Nice.
But I was playing corner, and I won. It's a hometown sports award, and I'm proud of it. That's my claim to athletics.
Bakersfield is Southern California. You can just pop up there and get it, right?
You guys keep saying that. I don't know if Bakersfield's quite Southern California, but I'll take it.
I think, Sean, one of the things that we talked about going into the season as a concern at times was depth. But I thought it stood out at multiple positions on Saturday as a positive. It looked like we got a backup quarterback. I thought Jade Mayava looked good, but I thought at several spots when you started looking at the 2s and the 3s, there were some guys that can really play.
Yeah, I think the running backs that they came
Quentin
out.
Joyner looked fantastic.
Amarion came in there.
Brian Jackson.
I thought they all looked good at running back. The offensive lineman who rotated in, there was no slouch in play. I didn't see a fall off. I didn't see a bunch of sacks be given up. So I thought, and defensively, you heard what Coach Lynn talked about those guys and the guys that played. So yeah, it's just a it makes you think of the coach, the head coach, the lessons he's giving them. It's all transferring down to the players. I think it's kind of just that culture, that buy-in is all coming together at the right time. And this team is, I mean, it's 2 games in. We got a bye week here. We got to figure a lot of things out. But where else would you want to be right now than 2-0 and just mollywopped another team going into a bye week?
Let's go. Cody, what'd you think of Maeva?
I thought he looked good. And, you see all the comments, the Caleb comparison.
Yeah.
He made some of those plays with his feet. But I'll say this.
More than that 14?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I'll say this. When you have a quarterback competition that's that tight, and I guess we really didn't understand that fully, but then you see Maeva play the other night and how impressive he looked. It's kind of like Miller from a year ago, right, where you pray nothing happens. You really hope that the starter stays healthy. But if it were ever to come to that where the backup has to come in, you feel very confident, right? And he showed that he can get the job done with his legs. I love the play where the football dropped. He didn't panic. He's still a younger player. Picked the football up, kept his eyes downfield, and made a great throw to Kyle Ford. So I thought he looked phenomenal. Obviously, he's going to have to continue to grow. And when you have a guy like Lincoln Riley, he's the one to help you to do that.
Anyone from the 2s and the 3s that stood out to you in the second half of that game?
Okay, I said this on the podcast, but I hadn't really seen Brian Jackson up close.
Big.
He's a big back, and for a true freshman, his first carry of his collegiate career, he just kept going. I'm excited about him. On the podcast, the recap podcast will come out. I earmarked him as a watch for him guy.
And I think it means something that he was in before Peterson, right?
Yeah.
So he is the clear
Correct.
number 3 for whatever that's worth. I'm sure that competition continues, and Peterson looked good when he got in there. But for a true freshman to come in there and slide up the depth chart even that one notch is impressive. There were some quotes after the game, I think, from the Utah State side that basically just commended USC's coaching.
Yeah.
And I mean, that stood out to me. And oftentimes coaches will be respectful of each other, but this seemed to be very specific to the way they're teaching defense over there is really impressive. And again, it's passing the eye test with all of us and the fans watching at home, but this is clearly something. I know no one wants to get too overexcited over 2 games, but clearly something's happening, particularly on that side of the ball.
I mean, the fact that USC was missing Mason Cobb and Jalen Smith for that whole game, even with the cornerback depth, that's something that for the past 2 years, outside of Mekhi Blackman, we were like, okay, who's going to step up? And the fact that they were missing their starting cornerback once nickel, and we didn't even really talk about it, is meaningful. The fact that there is that depth there makes you feel so confident there, and you're not just crossing your fingers hoping that everyone stays healthy in a long season.
And Sean, obviously, I did play defense, like I said, but you can help me out on this one. It just feels like when you have a defense that trusts their scheme, the confidence that they have in the players around them, they trust the teammates around them, and it's so important. On offense, you can make the argument, right, when you have a guy like Caleb Williams that he can be more efficient. He can make the guys around him better. When you have the Tom Brady's, when you have the very good quarterbacks, but on defense, you don't have a quarterback that has the ball in his hands every play. So you have to trust your buddy around you, and you have to make sure everyone's doing their job. And it just feels like with this scheme that Denton Lynn has put in place, everyone knows that, okay, if my gap integrity is A gap, the player behind me is going to make the play. Or if I'm, focused on the B gap and whoever has a C gap, they're going to be there for me so I can trust them. And it just shows on the field. You can tell how fast and physical they're playing throughout the entire night.
Yeah, you just don't see a lot of guys just going off script, right? You see guys buying into what they're supposed to do. You don't see guys everyone's trying to move and get to the ball. You're seeing guys holding their spot, wait till it clears, then, okay, now I can go make a play. That's what you have to do when you got to trust each other. You can't have guys out there trying to make special plays every time, coming off the edge, going in different gaps and looking crazy out there. Yeah, sometimes that'll flash and it'll look nice. Oh, guy had a big play, but he had that big play because he messed up, right? He didn't do something right. I think you have all these guys right now buying into what they're supposed to do, doing their job, then getting to the ball. But do your job first, wait till your job is over, and then go get to the ball.
Give me somebody that's opened your eyes, who through 2 games has, surprised you to some degree. Either you didn't know a ton about them going into the season, or somebody that maybe you thought you do something and they're showing you that there's more to them.
Well, 2 guys on defense is Gentry and Anthony Lucas. You watch the film and they're popping on the tape. Anthony Lucas, I could just think of the one play they had a run at him, and he did his job, and it kind of lost the edge, and they made the run, and then the very next play they run that same guard at him, and he destroys him, stops the whole play, blows it up, and it was like, oh, he realized, oh yeah, I can do this. So he's a guy, and then Gentry, just the way he can do, he pass rush. He had a great one-on-one win for a sack. So I mean, the guy is unlimited, really. I think when it clicks in his brain, what he can do, the future will be endless for him. But yeah, those are 2 guys probably on defense.
Yeah, I'm backing up the Anthony Lucas, and I said last night on the podcast, if he can stay healthy and continue to develop like he is, he will be a first-round pick, right? He is a dominant football player, has the size, has the speed, and that was the biggest thing for me was this offseason. right? Give credit where credit is due. Coach Wiley did a great job of making all his players bigger and stronger, but you have to keep that speed. And it feels like he's gotten quicker in his first step, and it's just amazing to see. But another guy for me that I think is better than advertised, and I've talked about him a lot, is Kamari Ramsey. I mean, when you watch him play, and I try to watch a defense from a quarterback perspective of, okay, who's the red dot players to where you're worried about them on the field, or you got to circle this guy because he can dominate and ruin your game plan. Kamari Ramsey is always around the football. He seems like he's always in the right spot. He's making those instinctive type plays, and then he does his job better than anyone, and it's just so much fun to watch. So, yeah, I'm with Sean, Anthony Lucas, and then Kamari Ramsey is another guy for me.
I would go with Gavin Meyer. He's someone who we heard the coaches praise a lot, and he was a summer entrant, so that sometimes is hard to get the hang of things that quickly, but he was a guy who the coaches kept bringing his name up automatically, and so I think he's done a great job so far, helped create that turnover with Easton, and so, yeah, hands up. So, and I just love the effort. Like, he's a guy who is engaged in a block, and then suddenly 5 seconds later you see him trying to make the tackle across the field. So I just love the effort we've seen from him.
Yeah, I know that we're focusing on the defensive side. One more name that stood out for me on the offensive side. I know he fumbled in this game. I did not expect Lake McCree and the tight end role to be as prominent.
Leading receiver on the USC Trojans.
I
right
love
now.
it.
And I mean, two things on that. And one, I think we've liked him for a long time, and just we've sort of wondered when the tight end would get featured. But two, clearly attacked his rehab in a way that you just don't necessarily take for granted. When I heard serious injury, I thought, I don't even know if he'll be ready to start the season.
Yeah.
You would not even know that he was hurt at the end of last year.
Yeah, and I mean, it's so helpful on offense when you have a playmaking tight end, right? You always need to have your bruiser tight end, right? They can go out there and block and
Kate
the
Eldridge.
extension, of the offensive line.
He
But
got
when
some
you-
catches too.
They give him one to keep him happy.
Yeah, but when you have a pass catching tight end, you just think like Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews, guys that can go out there. Sam Laporta now for Detroit. They are an absolute weapon on the offensive side of the ball. And now with Lincoln Riley's playmakers, it's not, okay, we've got to cover everyone on the outside. Now they have a dominant tight end down in the red zone that can be a factor, and we've got to worry about him now too.
Yeah.
Woody, and I think you mentioned this to me too. Woody's a real receiver. You know,
He's a dog. Woody Marsh
there's
is
running
phenomenal.
backs that can make that one catch out of the backfield when you throw it to him perfectly. But the route he ran down the sideline and Miller fit in the ball, that was just a receiver play. He just happens to be listed as a running back too. So there's a lot of versatility in this pass game. And again, no clear wide receiver one. Just a lot of guys making plays. So we'll see. We'll see what it looks like. You know, the opponents only get tougher. The places are going to be more fun. This is a heck of a schedule. So looking forward to see where the story of this season goes. We've got one more segment of Trojans Live coming up on a Monday night on the USC Trojans Media Network.
I used to toss a coin in the waterfalls in the wishing well. Now I get plenty coin, but I'm self-made. You ain't gotta wish me well. You ain't like me then, but I guess it's past tense, cause you tapped in. You was never who you said. I see the facade when looking at really me. I need to tell my guard up. I ain't taking L's. If it's not in my favor, won't sign a deal. I got the royalty in the mill. I got authority in the field. Take a look at my iris. I be precise with the timing. I never know where my mind went.
Trojans Live.
This is the ESPN LA Trojans Radio Network.
Now back to the campus of USC at Heritage Hall, broadcasting in Los Angeles. Here are your hosts, Jordan Moore, Sean Cody, and Cody Kessler.
One final segment of Trojans Live on a very hot Monday night here in downtown Los Angeles. Sean, how you dealing with the heat, buddy? It's been a long 5 days for you, I bet.
It's been quite warm, a lot of sweat going on, Jordan, but I keep it cool, man. I keep it cool.
Just take a towel with you everywhere you go. The over-under is presented by Pechanga Resort Casino, proud partner of USC Athletics. All right, from not here on out, but from here till the end is Big Ten football. And I'm sure you've been watching some, checking out our new competition. Over-under 3.5 playoff teams from the Big Ten.
Interesting.
Thank you.
12 teams now?
I thought about it 5 minutes ago.
So proud of you, Jordan.
Anybody go first?
Anyone can go first.
I'm trying to run through.
Usually Sean's
we
the
just heard
sacrificial
1
lamb.
minute, so you have.
I probably would have been over recently.
I'm going to take
but
under.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go under as well.
I'll go over.
Oregon would have been an over for me. I think they're struggling a little bit, so I think I'm going to go under. I mean, we look good. Ohio State looks good. Michigan struggled, so
Nebraska. People
Nebraska
are
looks
on
good,
Nebraska.
but we'll TBD. We'll wait on that
Okay.
one, but yeah, I'm going under right now.
Over. No reason. Just
1 minute left.
That's
over.
how this segment
appreciate
works.
that.
Okay.
No thought,
appreciate
just
that.
words.
Can we just give a quick tribute before the credits here to our guy, Drew DeHart? We always list him as the executive producer. You probably never have seen Drew on any of us, but the last 5 years, our USC Trojans Media Network, as we call it, has been completely launched into another stratosphere, and it's all, the brainchild of Drew DeHart. And he is leaving us to go to the Minnesota Twins, but thank you, Drew.
You will be missed.
Thank you from all of us. Thank you to our crew. Follow us every week here on YouTube and ESPN Los Angeles. Fight on, everyone.